Good afternoon. I'm Phyllis Hudecki. I have the honor of serving in Governor Mary Fallon's cabinet as her Secretary of Education, and it is a real pleasure and privilege for me to get to represent her today. She could not be here, and welcome you for this great celebration that we are about to announce this afternoon. I have worked in education for more years than I care to describe, and I want to just backtrack for a second and tell you that when No Child Left Behind was introduced several years ago and enacted into law, it was a huge paradigm shift, as we say, a new paradigm for all of us in education. It made the adults very nervous. There was a lot of consternation about it. There was this continuing debate about whether or not the federal government was being too heavy-handed in working with states, but there was still some flexibility for states to enact their own standards, adopt their own standards, and their own assessments. Well, since that time, we realized that there were some flaws in the original law, which, by the way, had strong bipartisan support led by Senator Ted Kennedy and Governor George W. Bush during his administration. There are several good things about the law, and we don't want to throw out all of those things. The main thing, at least for me and many of adults who've worked in advocacy for groups who have been typically underserved in education, was that it caused the education system to shine a light on achievement gaps among subgroups. Before No Child Left Behind was law, we were able to mask low achievement and underperformance of some of our kids by using aggregate data, using averages and summarizing what we were seeing. So students were indeed left behind and were falling through the cracks academically. No Child Left Behind moved us beyond that. But as states have learned more and more about better ways to collect data, better ways to measure the learning of each child, we are now ready to undertake the next generation of state accountability systems. And that's really what we are about today, to talk about that. States needed flexibility to adopt and create those systems, and I believe we are on the verge of a very exciting next opportunity in education. The governor asked me to read a statement from her since she couldn't be here. I do want you to know she has been very involved all along the way with this. We started talking about it last September and worked closely with Superintendent Barisi and her staff as she put together the waiver request. The one thing that we want to be sure we do in the future is to work closely with communities and local education leaders as we move forward. This law and this new waiver is not intended to be punitive. It's intended to get better results for students, and we can only do that by having stronger partnerships with those at the local level who touch the students most frequently and who are engaged in their daily learning. And so with that, let me read what the governor wanted to share with you. More flexibility to pursue Oklahoma-based education reforms is a good thing for the state, for our teachers, and most importantly, for our students. Acquiring this waiver allows our schools to more accurately measure progress in student achievement without a rigid federal formula. The results will be a more dynamic learning environment for our children. Moving forward, accountability, transparency, and a commitment to improving student achievement remains as important as ever. And please note, this is not about giving relief to adults in the system. We want to engage them as partners, but not be in a punitive mode with this, and that's just a sidebar comment for me. Some people who, this is a little controversial, have viewed this as a way of letting adults off the hook for teaching some of the hardest to serve students, and this is by no means what this is about. The governor says Oklahoma passed several landmark education reforms last year, and we expect those improvements to our education system to continue to improve the quality of our schools, raise performance levels among students, and ultimately lead to a better educated and more highly skilled workforce, which is totally in line with her goal to have a better educated workforce for Oklahoma so that we have more jobs with better pay along with it. So with that, I would like to take this opportunity to introduce our State Superintendent of Public Instruction, Dr. Janet Barisi, who was the mastermind behind designing this waiver, working with her staff. And she is my friend, and it is a real privilege to be with you today. Please welcome Janet.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you. Madam Secretary, thank you for your kind introduction and for your remarks, and it means a lot to have the governor's support. You know, earlier this year, I had the opportunity to help hand out earlier this week, I had the opportunity to help hand out awards at the Oklahoma School of Science and Mathematics. It's always so inspirational to interact with inspired students and inspired teachers. And that's why I'm equally excited about our announcement today. Oklahoma has been granted a waiver from the requirements under No Child Left Behind and allowed to create a new model of accountability in the state of Oklahoma. We're here today to kick off a celebration of success. So before I say anything else, let me say congratulations to Oklahoma educators and Oklahoma school leaders. And as I said, your work is a big part of the success of this. It's because of your hard work, your commitment, your dedication, and your contribution to our waiver application that we are here today announcing that Oklahoma has the flexibility it needs to move our education forward into the 21st century. I want to recognize all of the educators we have with us here today, as I have, and again, thank them very much and for their work. Many of these people dropped everything they were doing at the last minute to be here and to contribute to the waiver application, and we appreciate that so much. I also want to take a moment to thank a very special group of people who really went above and beyond the call of duty, and that is the staff at the State Department of Education. These individuals put in so many long hours of hard work to deliver a very strong application. Oklahoma's application was considered one of the 2 top applications, and more than one occasion we received compliments from staff at USDE. I want to thank you very much, all of our agency personnel, for their commendable dedication to the students of our state. Would you all please stand up and be recognized for everyone here today for all of your work? Everybody that worked on the application, please stand. We're so thrilled to have you here. Incidentally, I forgot to recognize her. I'd like to introduce you Ms. Renee Axtell, who currently is the Director of Special Education at Middale Schools, and thank you very much for being here today. You know, this is about a transformation of all of Oklahoma's schools into becoming a powerhouse factories of success. It's about taking what is already working across the state, putting a spotlight on the positive stories of school leadership and excellent teachers, and local reform. It's about turbocharging those efforts through partnerships with districts all over the state. This is also about putting Oklahoma's best foot forward in the competition for excellence that is happening across the world. Oklahoma's economic future depends on our state's ability to prepare students for the demands of real life in the 21st century. That means we must prepare students for the demands of college, of career, and citizenship. Our overall C3 plan will ensure each student graduating with a diploma from an Oklahoma public school will be ready for college, career, without the need for remediation, and will be also citizen ready, meaning that they will know something about our government and the exceptional history of the United States and its founding. We must be willing to compete globally in the knowledge economy. Unless we increase student knowledge and proficiency in reading, science, and mathematics, our state will fall further behind. That means rigor. That means accountability. That means achievement. And as I said, we must celebrate our success. The superintendents who are here with me today and district personnel and administrators are a sampling of those success stories from across the state, as well as the wonderful youngsters that are here with us today that will benefit from this. We couldn't include everyone in such a last-minute announcement, but let me tell you, There are success stories that need to be applauded and duplicated all over the state. And the legislative leaders here with me today, along with Secretary Hudecki and our State Board of Education members, all recognize that today's announcement is a game changer. We now have added urgency to press ahead with implementation of reforms and a chance to help schools in our state improve. Having this flexibility will empower Oklahoma teachers to focus on each individual student and their growth. No Child Left Behind is a positive bipartisan reform that brought focus to accountability and to rigor. And now it's time to take the next step. With today's announcement, no longer will schools in Oklahoma struggle to meet goals that don't always account for growth. Instead, we can focus on effective instruction in the classroom. We all know that Oklahoma is overflowing with incredible potential and entrepreneurial spirit that can put our state in the top tier of economic success. There are only a few factors holding us back, and I believe our students are ready to deliver amazing results. What's needed is a combination of the right reforms that taps into the hard work and talent of our state's teachers and school leaders. Indeed, Oklahoma's plan for flexibility from No Child Left Behind is not a step back from reform, but a bold move forward. I also want to strongly emphasize that today's announcement of a waiver should in no way impede efforts in Congress to reauthorize ESEA. U.S. House of Education Chairman Klein is hard at work on legislative solutions, and we must support his efforts. While those efforts in Congress move forward, we will also move quickly to implement the C3 plan to ensure students in the state are college, career, and citizen ready by the time they graduate. So once again, congratulations and thank you so very much. It's now at this time that I would like to request that Senator John Ford, Chairman of the Senate Education Committee, come forward and give his perspective. Senator.
Superintendent, Madam Secretary, board members, staff, thank you and congratulations. In our life, every one of us, I think, needs as a goal continuous improvement every day. That's what we need in the education of our students, continuous improvement every day. I think this waiver is a step in the right direction in allowing us to continue that progress. I look at it, number one, I think it complements and allows us to move forward with what I feel are some very significant reforms that we have implemented in the last couple of years. I think the waiver does that. Secondly, and many of you that know me say the one thing I talk about probably more than anything is local empowerment. I believe in the power of the local school boards, the parents, the grandparents, the business people that live in a community. They know what's best for their children in that community, and I think this waiver allows us to give them more influence and ability over the education of their children. And number three, I think this waiver looks more at the individual student, the individual child, sets the growth of that child, and not an absolute number is what we're reaching. We're trying to make every child in this state a better child, a better student, a better citizen. That's the continuous improvement that I believe this waiver will allow us to help accomplish. Thank you all very much.
Senator, thank you, and thank you for your leadership. Appreciate that. Next, I'd like to invite Representative Ann Cootie also to present her remarks.
Thank you so much, Superintendent Barisi. I'm excited to be here among all these wonderful educators, citizens who are supporting education in our state by their service, legislators who support education, and most of all, with these students that are here on this stage and throughout this audience that are the future of our state. I'm excited that Oklahoma has developed a creative plan to raise standards and accountability and improve teacher evaluation and principal evaluation and school evaluation and support for those. I believe that this will result in reforms that will help these students and students across our state to be better educated, to be better citizens, to be servants of society, and to make our state a better state and a more educated state. Thank you so much for letting me be here today in this exciting, exciting announcement. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Cootie. We appreciate your leadership as well. We think it's important to have a few remarks from those administrators and superintendents that are going to be working with this day in and day out in their districts. And we've asked Mr. Scott Parks, who is the superintendent of Howell Public Schools, to make a few remarks. Superintendent.
Thank you, Superintendent Breezy, for allowing me to be here, and I want to voice my appreciation for you and your staff for all of your efforts for this flexibility request that's been approved. I also want to voice my appreciation to the U.S. Department of Education for realizing, acknowledging that Oklahomans are creative. You know, we've been known as a state of creativity by circles amongst those across the world, and I think this is an example of the U.S. Department of Education acknowledging that we know best how to not only educate but interpret our efforts as we educate our students. You know, change often is difficult, and when we hear the word reform, sometimes it takes on a negative connotation, but I like to look at the positive. I like to look at this as an opportunity to come together, work together, because bottom line, we all want what's best for our students. And reform is necessary, not to judge whether we've done a good job or not. Certainly we all face challenges. We'd be dishonest with ourselves if we don't acknowledge that we have challenges along the way, and we need to fix that, because a challenge means we've fallen short in some way. But I think reform is an absolute, because our world is changing at a dramatic pace, very similar to that of technology and the impact of technology in the information age, and those changes are taking place. We're no longer in the game of just trying to allow our students to be good consumers of information. They suddenly now have the responsibility and challenge to become such that they learn how to be good learners, that they know how to engage in an ever-changing age that they may see and experience, or have to engage with something that they've never had experiences. Are they going to be able to interact with it? And I think that's our job as educators, is to prepare our students to engage in an environment where they may not have had all the experiences that lend to that, but they know how to adjust and engage and interact with that environment. And I think that will make them productive citizens, that'll make them college ready, that'll make them career ready, by us empowering them to learn how to be a good learner. So we, on behalf of Howell Public Schools, a rural school district in the state, embrace this opportunity, look forward to engaging and interacting with the department to see how this can, I hope, better interpret the successes that we have, because I think some things have been overshadowed along the way. Successes have been overshadowed, and I think that the plan clearly allows for a more detailed analysis of what we're doing and the accomplishments we have within the task at hand, and what our students are actually achieving, not only academically, not only as it's indicated on the test, but also as it relates to the community, the environment, the challenges they face along the way, and how they overcome those challenges, how we help them on behalf of our teachers and administrators, help them through those challenges. So we look forward to it, and we appreciate your efforts.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And we thought it was important to also get the perspective of an administrator working in our districts every day. And so finally, I'd like to, but definitely not least, I'd like to recognize Ms. Kathy Dunn, and who is, as I said, is the Executive Director of Federal Programs for Teaching and Learning for the Mid-Dell Schools. Ms. Dunn.
Dr. Barisi, I'm excited today. I'm convinced, well, not convinced, but I think we may not see Mid-Dell Schools scrolling across the bottom of the television screen for a snow day this year. But I want to tell the media, we want to see our schools, when the reward schools are named, we want to see that recognition scrolling across the bottom of that television screen. We're really excited about that recognition. You've heard several mention the ability now that we'll be measured by individual growth and success of students, individual students, but we also have the flexibility to serve those students with our monies where the needs are, rather than all of the constraints that have been placed on those federal dollars. The waivers open up some flexibility for that. We also are excited about the term in the waiver that says ambitious but attainable learning goals. That is so important to us as we move forward with the challenges of adopting Common Core instruction in the classrooms and the challenge of the new performance-based assessments that our students will really get to show what our students can do, not just what they know. Teacher and leader evaluation systems, and I believe Ann Cootie mentioned the support system that's built into that. That's really important to us, because what we're anxious to get about the business of, which we have been in the business of, but daily working with our new waivers and our new systems of getting better, student growth, teacher growth, leader growth, and a better product for the state of Oklahoma, a better experience for our children. And we really appreciate this opportunity to celebrate.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Dunn. We appreciate it very much. And with that, thank you very much. We appreciate everybody coming out today for this celebration. Thank you so much.